Mr. Takasan. So Taka and I met almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
I saw him at a conference and he would just not leave me alone. And I said, this guy has so much passion. I've got to talk to him. I've been talking to him since then and he's got some great things. It's all yours, sir.
That's what,
Oops.
so this is the way.
Yes, sir. This is the one.
So anyway, good afternoon. After the coffee break and lunch and coffee break, I hope that nobody will sleep during my presentation. Thank you, Jordan, for this opportunity to present. It has been a very thought-provoking. AI could generate a new solution. Robotics could improve there. Those are great. But another important thing that I'm going to talk about is the climate crisis. But every one of you will be affected. It's 7 billion people, and hopefully I can explain to all of you, why our solution is so important. So, and what we are doing is we unlock the biology that started 2 billion years ago. So macroalgae is seaweed and kelp. Microalgae, initial living organisms, they start doing photosynthesis 2 billion years ago. What we do is we use microalgae as a factory to produce metabolites. So that's our technology. So we are a nature-based company that are unlocking the biology that started 2 billion years ago. So we already got lots of awards. The Dragon Prize, right? We get D3. Everything we claim is based on deep science. We work with, advanced soil genomic company and all of those. So that's our technology. So everybody knows about climate change. It's no longer 1.5. In Japan, last year in September, in Tokyo, for example, it's already 3 degrees warmer. What are we going to do? It's going to warm up more. So what is the solution? Right? And so that's what it's. So this could happen. There has to be a solution. And we say that one of the solutions is nature-based solution like ours, with unlocking the biology 2 billion years ago. So what it does, this is 1 gram of soil. 1 gram of soil has 10 billion fungi and bacteria. Imagine the world where these fungi and bacteria are active, doing their job. That is our technology. So what it does, climate change is so important. We are burning so much fossil fuel. How can we stop the oil industry? Mycorrhizal fungi, one of the fungi we enhance, they are storing 13 gigatons every year. And we enhance over 100%. So this is a theoretical number. Each one of you use your own garden. If you're farm using our product, we can reduce the CO2. So we are the solution that exists today. So this is a production facility. Unfortunately, the hurricane is going to Florida. Our factory is Florida. So what we do is we are using microalgae as a factory to produce metabolites.
So this is your factory?
Yes. So, but we have a hurricane grade greenhouse, so probably you will withstand. So that's what we do. So we basically let microalgae, what they've been doing for 2 billion years, we let them do the photosynthesis. They express metabolites, and we're using, for first application is for agriculture. So I just show it to everybody. Again, this is actually a product. It looks like water, right? Yes, 99.5% water, 0.05% metabolic. Inside this, there is no phosphorus, there is no iron, there is no calcium. By activating fungi and bacteria in the soil, we have already 8 countries, all these up, micronutrient, macronutrient up. So this is one of the results. This is not AI generated, this is actual picture. So I will explain all. So phosphorus is seeding and flowering. You can see this much of a difference. So this is not AI generated.
So what's your question, sir?
I'm not following what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, I will explain more. So it's, for example, if we apply to the corn twice, we consistently see the increase of 5 to 15%. So if we achieve just conservatively 5% yield increase, the ROI for farmer is more than 8. So we have seen these results. So
We lost. Slow down and answer my question. The question.
Yeah.
Go back to your solution. What does your
Yeah.
solution do?
What do
is
you
your
do?
solution?
You take your water.
So
your
what we
magic
do
water.
is we let two microalgae to do photosynthesis. When they do photosynthesis, when they grow, they express metabolites. So these metabolites, if you apply to the soil, it enhances beneficial fungi and bacteria.
Okay.
And
So
these
it
beneficial fungi and bacteria get the nutrients which is existed in the soil.
So it's a method of pushing the right elements to the plants.
Yes.
Basically, it's like an irrigation drip that has a bunch of different, phosphorus and magnesium and iron.
No, sir.
No, not that. Anyway, let me go through and I will explain probably later. So this is one of the applications for rice trial. And the rice, if you cultivate rice, if you flood the rice field, it emits a lot of methane gas. There's a new method of rice production where for the first 40 days, we don't introduce any rice. And for rice to grow or any agriculture to grow, they need a lot of help of fungi and bacteria. We are already contributing a new rice method where we can reduce the methane gas emission considerably.
So Tucker, if I may, you are selling a product to the farmers
Yes.
to spray their crops with, to allow the crops to absorb phosphorus, zinc, iron better.
Yes.
And that produces a higher yield.
Yes. So
So where does the microclimate comes in? You don't reduce carbon emissions, do you?
no, so one of the fungi that we enhance is mycorrhizae fungi. Mycorrhizae fungi is storing the carbon inside in the soil.
In the
So that's-
soil, and that decreases emissions?
Yes, because mycorrhizae fungi, no, not the decrease emission. CO2 is already in the atmosphere. It store more carbon into the
Carbon capture.
carbon capture. So just let me explain probably.
Yeah, continue, please.
Yeah, so for the initial 2 or 3 years, we have a lot of proof of concept. We tried a lot of different forms, and then we discover a science that our product is actually metabolites, enhancing the fungi and bacteria in the soil. So we've been focusing on for the last 3 years to B2B. So Angela is the Chief Science and Commercial Officer. Her former company, MedTech, what they did is fermented the microalgae very fast to extract omega-3. And MedTech was sold at $1.1 billion. And she's the one who developed a sale from 0 to $400 million. So Angela joined 5 years ago, and she has been in charge of a scientific discovery and B2B. So where we are now, we have over 30 relationships from large agrochemical company to mid-sized one. And we are in year 2, year 3 of field trial. We expect for the next 6 to 12 months of a sales with large agrochemical company or mid-sized. So this is our team. We have a lot of advisor in our helping our company. So for example, Pam Malone is an architect legend. She already sold 3 companies, and she's helping us to find the science. So where we are, we have already get a lot of investment from Harvard's Alumni Angel, Kagan Capital, and other who are really cares about the climate. So at this moment, we are trying to raise, to grow the seed extension round. We already raised 1.7, seeking additional 700K. So that's where we are. So this is my contact, and sorry, I was not able to explain very well.
Oh, we have 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it now, sure. Thank you for that. We're looking for it. Armand, you had questions?
I think it's answered. So you're saying there's a carbon capture, but is the carbon capture at the level that it can decrease the carbon that's going into the air or not? I mean, how much carbon capture is there? Or are you a carbon capture kind of company?
No,
Maybe just an ag.
So the question is about the carbon capture. So we are not directly capturing the carbon.
Right.
So through the photosynthesis and other activity the plant does, they have been storing the carbon into the ground. So one of the key fungi and bacteria is called mycorrhizal fungi. So mycorrhizal fungi actually stretch from here all the way from the parking lot. So one of the functions is they bring those elements to down. And we discovered that we enhance this mycorrhizal fungi count by 100 to 150%.
Okay, and so I'm asking you for a real question because I own a winery and vineyards. Okay, so this is very relevant to what I do. So you're telling me that if we take and we put it into the irrigation system, or do we spray it? How does it work?
So this is liquid based, so our recommended application is through irrigation. Mixed with
Through
water.
irrigation, mixed
Yes,
with water.
and also this is basically the water. So as long as your fertilizer is liquid based, you can mix with this. And
But
still
we still need a fertilizer.
At this moment, it's add-on.
It's add-on. And what it does is that it will give result, it will actually take some of this iron and magnesium and.
Yes,
And
so
it will take it into soil and stores it in the soil so that you don't.
no, get that. So I'm the plant, right? This week, I really need iron. So I express hormone to attract fungi and bacteria, get the iron. So by using our product, we enhance that communication through signaling. So I'm the one, I get more iron. So we've been asked this question many times. Well, since you enhance so many fungi and bacteria, are you going to enhance the bad one? That never happens. Because I'm going to initiate as a plant, I need these micro or macronutrients, so I express a hormone to attract the fungi and bacteria to get those.
So you can decide whether it's iron or magnesium or potassium or phosphate. You can decide what goes into that mixture.
No, you don't decide. It's as a plant, some of the plant, some say that there is intelligence, so even I remember the memory of the drought. So the plants will signal what I need. And so imagine the agriculture before the chemical fertilizer, everything was in the soil, right? So before the chemical fertilizer was invented, these fungi and bacteria is getting these key nutrients to the plants.
I understand. So then I add this to the fertilizer and
To the
use
water.
the drip irrigation and we'll push it in and it will be more. It will be more nutrients
Yes.
that get stored in the soil.
No, not to the plant. So
In the soil.
again, this week I need phosphorus, right?
No, I never know if I need phosphorus. You need all of them.
No, plant knows what they need.
Okay.
So they.
I'm not thinking about the plant. I'm talking about me as the farmer.
Yeah. So for example, for example, without the thriving fungi and bacteria community in the soil, if you apply nitrogen fertilizer, 75% is wasted. Of course.
I agree. So what I think we're saying the same thing.
You are.
But I'm not sure.
I worked with Tucker for a bit. Yeah. His material allows the plant to communicate better and have all these fungi bring whatever they want, whether they want phosphorus or iron or whatever, doesn't matter. So his thing doesn't say, today I want phosphorus.
Competitive against other carbon capture systems out there.
So for example, we are in a discussion to build a facility in Japan. Probably the capital requirement is about $1 million. And we cannot put a number because how much we can penetrate in Japanese market, but that $1 million plant can capture a lot of agriculture for many years.
Okay.
Speak up, Mr. Mark.
One final question. I know that one of the controversies with Monsanto's genetically engineered seeds, that they were only being used for one season or so, so anything that sort of gets added to the farm, that I think farmers will be a little bit rightfully skeptical. So can they use what you're introducing permanently? And as it grows and proliferates through the soil,
Would you reframe my question? Not sure we understand.
so is what you're doing good for one growing season or more?
No, so the question is whether our product is one season or repeated, definitely repeat. Because it's when the plants are not growing, when the agricultural crop are not growing, the microbes are dormant. When they start growing, they start activating, right? So it's every single year. And also, one of the fungi that we enhance is a trichoderma. So leaves fall down. Leaves has lots of nutrients, and the trichoderma breaks down the organic matter. We enhance the trichoderma count over 1,000%.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
One more.
You said final answer earlier, but
You should talk to commercial, foresters, because, if you've got a certain type of tree that's gonna let leaves out around your stuff, might be good for it.
I mean, so we are basically unlocking the biology that started 2 billion years ago. So it works for everything. But our go-to-market strategy is working with large agrochemical.
so while talk is answered, QR.
Yes, let's go ahead and score this one. If you could go ahead and scan this in and give us the feedback, I'll lead the way. I think we need to work on our how it works slide. Make a little bit more detail about how it works. The slide of the phosphorus up there was left a lot to the imagination. We filled it in, but it would have been just better just kind of explain what that was and how that works. So like a 3-slide stat would work. But otherwise, it was a very compelling presentation.
Thank you, sir. One last word to you. What are you doing in Japan?
So we have a lot of corporate partnership. So in Japan, the carbon credit market is actually functioning. So we are working with a field trial for rice because we have spectacular results for you.
I see a Japanese CVC shaking his head, yes.
And what's the cost? How do you charge for this?
It's
Stand up.
so it depends. So we sell about $30 to $20 per acre, but you don't have to give them all because it's seasonal.
He sells it by the
How much?
kilo.
How much per acre?
How much per acre?
Half liter per acre, depending on the crop.
How much money, sir?
Oh, it's for the corn, it's only $5 per acre.
And for the wine?
Why it depends. We can charge premium.
Give us a number. He's genuinely interested in buying from you. Taka, are you open to?
Definitely.
All right. Are we good?
I think so. Next one.
Mr. Rishi. Come on in, sir. So if you think that was complicated, this is much simpler. Much simpler. Rishi and I met, we met through an acquaintance, and it was in July, and he would talk to me for a week and then go travel and brings back $1 million of orders and gives on a week, comes back with 2 minutes. I'm like, stop talking, stop talking, just be gone. So he came back last week and he has a nice big fat order. I cannot say how much, but it is more than 10 and less than 100. Rishi, it's all yours.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity. I am Rishi, founder and CEO of Virdio. Everyone can hear this, right? Yeah. So Virdio, we have a spatial intelligence platform and very focused on industrial enterprises, right? So all the AI that in the panel we discussed, it was more helping on image, text, video. What we do is that help our users work in their physical spaces better. And the way our users work with our platform is they use any kind of camera. They have a smartphone, cameras, robots with a camera, AR devices. We capture all that data, make a digital twin out of it. We use the AI to train that digital twin to basically train our AI. So basically our AI is a brain for the physical space. It really understands what is supposed to happen, what is not supposed to happen, how the user is really doing their job. So all of that data is getting captured. And then using the same devices, your smartphone, AR devices, robot, our AI starts helping the user so that they are not making mistakes. These are complex tasks, so they're not making any mistake, no error, helping them with the complex tasks. So a couple of use cases on that, right? So right now, even like the investment we are doing that applies to any industrial market, but we are very focused on aerospace defense right now. And the use cases that we are looking is basically reduction of downtime. And downtime is something like, you remember as a kid, you disassemble some machine and then you don't know how to put it back. Right now, think about these machines, like people are building spaceship, planes, all kinds of things. Once they disassemble, putting it back, it's a very error-prone process. And then a lot of time people have to look at very complex manual. People will end up making mistakes. They don't know how to put it up on the first time. That is where we are helping because our AI system captures the knowledge. It knows how the work is supposed to happen. And that's how it starts helping the user in the downtime reduction, right? And when we say downtime, in these use cases, if you miss a week, you might miss launching your spaceship, right? The expense is $1 billion in these cases. So all of those ROI that we are seeing is very focused on those use cases. I will talk about a couple of use cases and specifically in detail. So this is the use case with the United States Air Force. This is basically a real-time inspection use case, right? As I said, that doing job on these machines is very, very complicated. People will make a mistake, right? I won't get into the use case, like this is called paint masking, right? So they are doing a paint job on this aircraft. If you make a mistake, you have to undo that mistake, and now this plane is sitting on the ground for a week instead of doing mission. Our AI helps them to make sure that there is no error. They can do their job using AR glasses on this plane without any error on the first one. For Air Force, just on this one kind of plane, we have saved them $250K annually. We have also signed a contract of $500K with the US Army now, and that will get renewed again next year. This is a $500K project with US Army. Same use cases, but helping them with their rocket launchers and those kind of use cases. This is a second use case, right? So this is on the robotics. As I said, that customers use the cameras on their robots also to talk to our system. This use case is about like just a bit technical background that robots need to localize the object in their environment, right? Because the robots need to know that in this room, where is the XYZ location where the parts are there before they can go and start repairing. Problem with robot is that the inbuilt localization it is very expensive, very hard to scale. And the reason is that you have to put infrastructure, put the cameras, and that's how robots see the world, right? And with our solution, you can use a smartphone. We understand the physical places of customer. So we are able to do the same thing at 10 times faster at 1 time the cost. So just in one robotic setup, we are saving $1 million annually for the US, the Air Force.
You're using your smartphone and connecting that to the robot, and the robot knows what to do as opposed to something else.
Yeah, so we are removing that robot doesn't need to understand its world anymore, right? So we understand and we can tell it that this is where the parts are sitting, this is where the dents are in the part. And now robot typically will take 30 minutes. We can do it in 2 minutes.
So a human in the middle, so to speak.
Right. And we sell both to DoD and the commercial customers. But what we have realized that DoD is very aggressive given the ROI return because for them downtime is a big issue. So they iterate much faster. And just to give you the rate at which they move, like 4 years back, we started with one customer. We started with 50K. Then they gave us a $5 million contract, another $10 million, and now they have submitted another $54 million proposal to procure the product. So they are very, very aggressive in deploying. So the way we are taking is that we deploy first in Air Force, Army, those customers, and then we take that sell the same product into commercial customers. So companies like Boeing, Sierra Space, those are the customers we sell into commercial world. And Overall, the DoD has also really helped us de-risk the business, right? So, as I said, that these customers, every account is $6 to $10 million account for us. So we have to just keep expanding these accounts and a lot of revenue growth just with the DoD. But the commercial market is much larger. So in the future, basically 5 to 6 years from now, when the commercial starts growing aggressively, we can continue growing for many, many years. And currently, we are very focused on like Army, US Army, Air Force, and then commercial aerospace, commercial airlines, oil and gas. But whatever investment we are doing, it applies to other branches of DoD, NATO allies, and commercial side, any industrial vertical, right? So any vertical will have the same problem because people are retiring. There are complex machines out there. So after right now, a couple of years, we are focused on these 4 verticals, but investment we are doing applies to any vertical. So we will continue to go after those markets also in the future. And as I mentioned that we have really de-risked the revenue growth. So we sign multi-year contract, right? Either SaaS or from the customer side. So our contracts are multi-year. So just to give an example, next year we are projecting 14.2. Out of that 9, we have already clear visibility just sitting today in Q4 of this year, right? So and even for we are signing our revenue for 2026 and 2027 because a lot of these contracts are multi-year. So for us right now, what we are looking at is raise $12 million, basically to execute on these, right? So with $12 million, we can unlock the $60 million in revenue. So that's where the focus is, close this 12. And after that, the revenue is really ramping up, so company can start growing on its own money. But as we said that we want to go after other verticals like utilities and those. So the future we will look into those capital raises. But right now, basically focus is 12 million to go unlock these $60 million in revenue. Overall, we have a very strong product market fit. We are getting a lot of pull from both commercial and DoD customers, right? We are able to just grow organically into these customers given our track record. We have a like these are the most toughest customer in the world, like, right? So they have told us that our IPs are like ahead of anyone else. So if we continue capturing these customers as we look into other verticals in the future, we will be able to capture those other ones also very easily. And market is really large, right? So just with these 4 verticals, we have roughly $1.5 billion of proposal in our pipeline. But overall, if once you look at this market, this will open a $1 trillion opportunity in the future. So this is what we are looking at 2029 is that just with these 4 verticals growth, but we can grow beyond that with other verticals. And the founding team, we know each other for last 27 years now, have been the best friends. We have built, deployed, and taken to the market very complex B2B software. And a lot of our sales team comes from the DoD background, commercial team is more the commercial sales team. So that is where we are in the growth phase and it's step 1. I think somehow I missed a couple of slides because I thought there was a go-to.
Tell us about it. Go ahead.
Right.
Verbal.
And so one thing is like we sell SaaS our business model is SaaS. US government, we just map it to enterprise license. So pretty much a SaaS, but it needs to be renewed every 2 to 5 years. So those are the business models.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Where's Armand? All right, questions? Where's Albert? Are you guys competing or are you playing
We
together
are collaborating.
already?
Yes.
Did we just meet each other today?
Yeah, we just meet each other today.
Hal and I get 10%, whatever business you guys do.
I guess more than.
All right. Tell us what you were thinking.
Yes, so spatial intelligence definitely is a very big topic. I think that this is something that, really amazing, especially over how smart manufacturing and how to shorten the turnaround time, which is actually very game changer over how to deliver all these kind of automation into full speed. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Same. So no, definitely. And right now we're going after, we call it like really high ROI use cases. But what we are building is that if you can capture what human has been doing for last 5 years, right? Now you can exactly start telling them that I have never seen you doing this. This is the way I have seen you repairing these machines. So please make sure that it becomes basically assistance for the humans, right? Like, so if you can capture the human knowledge, that can really do a big work. And right now, I think even though these are the spaces we are looking, but oil and gas, a lot of people are now retiring, and training those people will be very hard, right? So these kind of assistants will become the future.
So why is taking so long to get from 14 to 220? The product is ready, the project base, you do the project, you deploy, and create that license. Do you need more salespeople, or is it just a slow thing?
No, so you need, this is the B2B enterprise, so you need sales, right? So this is the thing that these are, our sales will never be a self-service, right? It will require a salespeople to go and sell. So typically, we have to, every 3 million of revenue, we have to hire a salespeople, program managers, right? So that's the way you can execute on that like that, but these are extremely sticky customers, right? So once you sell into that, you're selling for 20 years, because these planes will fly 20 to 50 years for that.
So you're saying there is repeat business and cumulative business year over year?
Yeah.
Well, let me be a bit more harsh. I'm seeing you go 10x from 25 to 27, give or take. What if you throw in 10 more business people, salespeople in there? Would that get you any more revenue faster, or is there some other blocking, gating factor?
No, so definitely more salespeople will give you that growth. But we are not, at least for planning purpose, we are not looking at that, right? That what happens that around this time, we are looking for these verticals, but other verticals will start coming in, right?
Okay.
And we can plan for those in the future. For right now, we are very focused on these 4 verticals. And that's where the converting, like capturing that 20% of the. So
Is there a shelf life on your technology? Is there an expectation that our good friend Albert from Hong Kong would go back and bring something much faster, sooner, quicker, and take your market away from you?
So it's a technology, right? The technology, if you don't stay ahead of others, that's why our customers, that they tell us that they have never seen anything like this. But these are really sticky markets, because you are putting in their workflow, right? So they have now licensed their data for us to train the AI. They don't open up that data that easily, right? Like we have worked with DoD, other commercial customers for 4 years, and then that gives them that confidence that, yeah, you can handle out their data because you can add value. So there is an inherent moat in there, because once you enter these accounts, they don't like repeating that work again. So nothing like that, but yeah, it's a tech, right? So you have to keep inventing,
One more question. I see you're 10 million in already, so it's 10 million raised at 70. Are you comfortable talking about terms here, or?
So we are looking at, so we have 6 million committed, but we are looking for a lead for now, like, and we are looking at 100 million plus valuation for this round, but we are just looking for a lead to come.
How do all the questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question on your procurement time on these government contracts.
So typically the initial work is hard, like it typically takes you 2 years, but right. So when we started with 50K, it took us 2 years to get a 2 million contract. But after that, 5 million, 10 million, they started coming in like 6 months, 1 year, right? And another. So after that, once the product is deployed, then money is in finally on both sides. So then it becomes pretty fast.
And so how do you manage the interface for customer success with the user at that low level of putting that machine back together?
So it's a lot of time. For example, if you're putting the machine together, you will use the AR glasses, right? So that is starting guiding you that this is how you, and it is not just about humans putting the machine, right? Even robots are coming in, humanoid robots, and our customers are looking that if we can learn what humans did, those lot of these grunt work. The idea is that you are basically training the AI to understand what human is doing. So for the putting the machine back, it's the AR device is the main interface of humanoid robots. But if you're looking at QA work, iPad is good enough. Like you do your work, put an iPad, and it will show you a heat map that I have never seen this thing happening. You have missed a board in here. If you think about Boeing use, right? If you would have trained the system to that, how the boards were put, humans cannot look at 1,000 codes which the machines have, but an AI doesn't get tired. So you can just use an iPad and say that.
So government's hard, pretty sticky because it's hard to get in, hard to get there, hard for them to move out. What about in the commercial markets? And then the other question, what's your post money and your minimum check?
So we are looking minimum check, so again, we are just raising 1,200 million free, we are looking at that. So, and minimum check we are looking is 300K. And the commercial customer, again, what happens that the reason we are going after aerospace and these are market, because they are adjacent to the, like, we have the license of data from the, for example, Air Force, right? So we already have trained our AI on Air Force data, and the plane is a plane, right? So 99% it remains the same. And after that, we just train on the data, amount of data from commercial customer. So, and that data also, because if you have already proven 99%, you are a chosen vendor, right? And that 1%, they will never share it with anyone else if you are providing that.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Get your feedback for this one on this QR code here, and then we'll kick off to the next one. There it is.
Thank you for that. Well, keep it while they do QR code. So where are you from? Where do you live?
Right, Sunnyvale.
Just right next door?
Sunnyvale.
How did you get into this business?
And so I used to be like do the system design work at Qualcomm and these places, and I used to be putting these 3D sensors in smartphones, right? So I just came in because I saw an opportunity that we will create 3D data so cheap, which earlier will take you like $100,000 radar and all. So we were looking at opportunity that we were building, but the hard software was very hard to use, right? Because people still use gaming technology to build experiences, but these kind of scenarios, system has to learn its own way. So that's what we started looking at.
It's kind of a little backwards. You took it.
Right.
Digital.
Just curious, your margins must be pretty high. When are you gonna be cash flowing?
And so margins are, so it is high, we're really cash flow positive in 2026 because right now there's a lot of travel involved, but those will come down because these accounts, the way it works is that a lot of deployment initially are on-prem, right, so air gap. But then as they start moving to the Gov Cloud, then you don't have to travel to these locations. So that is still will be there next year, but slowly those 2026.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. GP, do you want this?
Think I'm loud enough.
Great.
So, yeah,
So I'll leave you to it. Just a quick disclaimer, I do work with GP, so I'm not a completely unbiased observer here.
okay, let me kind of, before I start, so we are building AI chips. There are lots of companies building AI chips. Nowadays, AI chips is the fashion. Oh, not loud enough, then I'll use it.
There's also people online.
Huh?
There's online as well.
Okay, how about this?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, so there are a lot of companies building AI chips. We are also building AI chips. What's different? There are at least 100 other companies. When we started in 2018. At that time, before that, I was working for a company that was competing head to head with NVIDIA, starting from 2012. So I was working in that company for 6 years. And what started becoming very, very clear, I was running the engineering team for them. What started becoming very clear to me and some of my team members who co-founded this company is that power consumption will become the critical factor in going forward. So we wanted to build AI chips that can be low power, extremely low power, because we wanted to intercept this market, not immediately, because there was a lot of cash available immediately, whoever was to go and compete with NVIDIA. But we thought that we wanted to intercept this market a little bit later with low power. So we are building low power AI chips. And how do I?
The other one.
Other side.
Narrow it down, yep.
Okay. Just a summary for us. We are a fabulous AI chip company, just like Qualcomm, just like Broadcom, just like NVIDIA. We are raising our Series A. We design, build, and sell chips. We are manufacturing in TSMC. As some of you may know that TSMC as a foundry does not accept a lot of startups. They did very harsh due diligence on us, but they accepted us. So we are a direct customer to them. We are raising a Series A. Our seed was closed in 2018. We have been running very frugally, very economically. Out of that, 8.5 has been banked, 4.5 has been committed, and another, there is a mathematical error here. We are looking for $7 more million to close this round. 70 people team is still able to run very frugally, and our first product is already in the market. I'll show that to you guys. We are designing 2 more. We actually have a very large customer signed up with us, collaboration agreement, which will give us 9-digit revenue yearly very soon. And we are a post-revenue company. So, low power. A lot of time, you may have heard when you do chip design, either you can get performance or you can get lower power. Not both. You can get higher performance or you can get lower power. You cannot get both. We signed up on the impossible or nearly impossible task of achieving both. And I am glad to say that we are lucky enough to have achieved both of them and really a breakthrough technology. Our technology achieves very high performance, very low power, and this is a very large market. That's the summary. We are actually able to achieve a technology that can do better performance, lower power consumption, also reduce the cost. All 3 of them. These are generally considered difficult. Now, I have been designing chips from my 3rd year in college. So I have been a chip designer all along. Designed many ultra-smart chips with Sun Microsystems, did 2 startups, also doing chips, they exited. And then I was with a company called Wave Computing that was going head-to-head against NVIDIA. It almost got sold, and if it was not for the fight between China and USA, it would have been a very successful company. Anyway. But to achieve such a technology, you need to go very deep. If you have heard about semiconductors, chip design is very many layers of technology you can build. And deeper you go, better you will achieve, but longer it will take. In our case, most of the companies you will see in the industry, they start from architecture, build the SoC or the software on top of that, and then the application, then algorithm. We went far deeper to all the way to the transistor level to do innovation. We are probably the only startup that have done innovation so deep. Other companies that do transistor level innovations will be Apple, to some extent Intel, and to some extent Qualcomm. Pretty much where the list stops. Which also means that if you want to, that it is very difficult to, or very, a lot of people shy away from going too deep because it takes very long time to do R&D. We have spent 5 years doing so with, this is the older one. Okay.
Oh, let me get the right one for you.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Okay, say something. Okay. Actually, I will show you something. So when you are building AI chips, you may have heard about building very large computers that need to be oil-cooled, water-cooled, cryon-cooled, God knows what cooled. We are building chips that can run AI on a very small battery-powered applications. I'll show you some of them. Here is the locket. This will sell for $15. This has an AI chip, it can detect a fall, it can detect an asthma attack, it can detect a fall. So very soon it will be monitoring your sleep. The battery will run for months in this small locket shape and will sell for $15 retail price. This will be launched in actually a couple of months, starting from India, China, and hopefully here also. This is a camera that runs with a small battery. This is our chip at the back. This we are shipping already. This will be going in doorbell application, selling for $20. The battery will last for months. Just a small two AA or AAA batteries. So, sorry, thank you. This is a presentation device. In future, instead of holding this, you will just wear this as a pin, and you will be able to say next slide or slide number 15 or slide number this. This is another company building this as a voice control presentation device. We are working on at least 20 such applications. Customers are working on 20 such applications worldwide. We already have more than $13 million in revenue. We need to keep talking. Okay. Now I can. Thank you very much, Jordan. Sorry for.
That will cost you.
Yeah, okay.
10%.
Sure. So we built very deep technology, and this is our first chip. You can see to the customers, we can get them 1000x power saving at the same price, or 1000x performance at same power. Of course, 1000x power saving with the same performance cells. This is a comparison, same performance, as you can see, same performance, but the power consumption is thousands of x better. That's why we can run on a very small battery for very long time. These are some of the applications being designed. This is another shape of the locket I showed you. This is a camera that monitors if a driver is getting tired or sleepy on the wheels. This is selling already. We have more than 100,000 of these as an order sitting to us in a purchase order. We have a smart watch which is monitoring sportsmen's performance. There's a company in France designing this. This is a smart doorbell. I showed you the small board or a PCB. This is going to a device like this. This is a company came up with its own application. They are selling this cooling into refrigerators and microwaves. They want to make their the fan more intelligent. Many such devices possible. I wanted to do the show tell here, but I already showed you some of the devices. This I have already talked. Huge market. Even if we capture 1% of it, we would be very rich and make the investors very rich. Important thing about us is we are not competing with the big companies. This is a very green blue ocean market. No, not much of competition. All of our competition are traditional companies that are selling chips that burn a lot of power and they cannot do AI. So most of our customers have been using other chips in past. They take the data, send it to the data center, do the computing. They're replacing it with our chip and they don't need to depend on cloud anymore. So they reduce their cost, increase their reliability, keep the data in-house, no security problem, no reliability problem, no ransomware that will haunt you. So we already have revenue in 2024. We are expecting a good growth in 2025. We have, as I said, $13 million already in PO. We have a $55 million in visible revenue. We should be able to capture this one easily. We actually have an order that will materialize somewhere here, which is actually in 9 digits, at least. So we are doing good here overall. What we need is lots and lots of sales people, as my good friend was. That's always becomes the, once you have to crack the technology, the next big problem is people to be able to sell it, because this is a very special language and hiring these sales people not easy. The other big problem is always customer support. We have all of the supply chain ready, so, and everything is tested. We are shipping these products already. Team that are the back office workers. We are all people who put our head down and get the work done. It took 5 years to do this R&D, to build this technology, but we have been able to make it happen. People who have done it before, I have been part of 3 successful startups. Greg has founded and sold 2 other companies in past, so we are a lot of experience, and all of us are worker hands-on. Even me today can do all of the chip design functions all by myself, each function, each one of them. So very technical people. Again, 20 million that we are raising right now, 8.5 has been done, 11.5 open, 4.5 has been committed, 90 million pre. This is very cheap for any semiconductor company. Semiconductor companies today are valued in hundreds of millions at least. With this money, we'll be able to convert a lot of sales. Most of the funding that we are raising right now is going to go in hiring sales and customer support people, 60 to 70% of that. Our R&D is done. Most of that R&D happened on my money or another money that the founders call it starvation. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Questions?
Questions?
No, it's all good.
Back there?
So would you say that, I guess the main differentiator of your chips is that you enable AI at the edge, so within devices and so forth? Is that kind of the core market you're targeting?
Right now we are targeting that market, but this is actually done as a core, have our own instruction set. You can keep multiplying as many times as you want, just like the GPU did. GPU goes into a small car, goes into a large data center. We expect that we will keep progressing, but before we have to fight the big guys, we would be cash healthy. So right now we are targeting the edge market, not just the edge market, extreme edge market.
And to achieve your revenue projections, does that assume you'll start competing with the big guys later, or is it still just within the edge?
It assumes, not just assumes, we have all the hooks already in place to yes.
Tell him more, he wants to know more.
Like
We'll go
what?
back on the question. Walk us through the journey from where you are, how you're gonna get to the big place.
So we will first capture this market, that is edge market, which is easier to capture. We already have customer signed up. When they looked at our technology, large computer companies, when they looked at our technology, they know that in future, power consumption is one big problem. I mean, reducing the power consumption is a problem. However, delivering a cooling solution to the chip is even bigger problem, right? Today, you see, we used to use air to cool our chips. Nowadays, we have this chilled water that is going through the pipes to cool one chip. I call these stopgap temporary solutions. What next? There is no other liquid left. There is no other cooling left anymore that we know of. Hence, we have to solve the fundamental problem that you do not need computing to be so hungry. I think we are providing overall compute solution, extending the roadmap of the compute solution to next 2 decades. Because some of you may know, not only are our current AI hardwares are running out of gas means they're not only they're becoming very hot, but also the performance is stagnating. You cannot really improve the performance using the technologies we have been using so far. We got to change. We are the change.
Yes, sir.
JP, thank you for the presentation. Love what you're doing. Talk to me a little bit, please, about barriers to entry. IP, I know you said there's nobody else doing low power chips, but.
The technology we use is called analog AI computing. There are three companies running, each one of them running around $150 to $200 million, and they have martyred themselves. These are the dead bodies lying. We are the only lucky one who could just do it. The biggest entry, the barrier is somebody who has the craziness or stupidity to stay 5-6 years in just research mode, not make a single dollar.
That's you.
Well, you said those other guys are martyrs, like what was the cause of death, or what is the cause of death?
Just the difficult technology, you can't make it happen.
How does your technology, how do you know your technology works?
We have it working in the chip. What do you mean?
So,
The customers that are already using
there's a
it.
theory that you have a unique design and so forth and so forth, convinces that what you have is going to survive.
In terms of the technology or in terms of, so first of all, other people will start doing the R&D. I mean, some of them have started already. But in this technology world, people who get these breakthrough ideas it's not the whole company, it's just one or two people. And if they get the idea, they're, let's say, part of NVIDIA, they get the idea, tell me the chance that they will stay in NVIDIA. Zero. They will come out and start doing what I am doing. That means if there is somebody who can crack this, is behind me and a few years away. By that time, we will capture a big part of this market. We will have the first movers advantage. That will be for sure. That is, if others can still get as lucky as we are.
Who's in your cap table today? What kind of investors?
We have two investors, one from Silicon Valley, two VCs already, and some private investors. A big part of that is my own people who can bet on crazy people like us.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Just on the terms of your note, is there a discount? Is the rate on that? What's the minimum check size?
Minimum we have taken so far is $500,000. We can still probably take that, though we prefer larger check. We really want to, we'll be closing this really quick because most of that money is coming in and our burn rate is very low. So we'll close this round and raise our valuation because we have a very big order, a very big contract that we expect to sign in 2-3 weeks.
And when you
On the check size, there's a syndicate. He's
Right.
working with a syndicate that can take lower checks.
you'll take a syndicate SPV as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other questions? Richard? No questions from you?
Yeah, just for,
All right.
we've got the deck.
Thanks, GP.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Great talk.
Take care.
Stay tuned, JD and Bill will be on a panel in a few minutes. But before we go for coffee, Mr. Hall.
Yes, sir. Okay. You can announce the other gentleman.
Great. We have with us, supporting us today, Tesla. I'd like to have Alan come up and just say a few words about Tesla for those who like to learn more about them. We actually were able to drive one over this weekend and had a great time with it. So learning all about regenerative braking. It was a cool
And
thing.
while he's doing that, QR code, because Paul would not let me go home if we don't have good QR codes.
Everybody give us some feedback for the last presentation. It'd be great. With that, Alan, tell us more about Tesla.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the chance to talk to you. I think Tesla's probably ubiquitous with the Palo Alto area. So how many of you have a Tesla right now? Very good. Thank you so much. Well, we've got a lot of exciting things coming up for Tesla. If anything, it's a little bit controversial, of course, but Elon is nothing but a visionary. And that's one of the reasons why I joined Tesla. 40 plus years in the automotive luxury industry. Engineering is my background, but I'm in sales and marketing. I was with Toyota and Lexus corporate for 25 years. And I saw that the industry was changing. So definitely moving from horse and buggy to gas engine, and now it's gas engine to electric. So I did an investigation and looked, I wanted to see who was the best. I looked at Lucid and I looked at Rivian and looked at Fisker, looked at all of them. And there was no doubt, Elon has made the electric vehicle a commonality with people, the acceptance of electric vehicles through Elon's vision. So what's coming up with us? There's a lot. There's going to be a big announcement this Thursday evening. It starts at 5:30. We'll be web streaming from our showroom in the Stanford Mall if you want to come in. We'll have drinks and refreshments. So some of the things he's going to talk about, of course, is our upcoming launch of the robotaxi fleet. So this is not only just driverless cars, which our AI supports. And we believe our AI is superior to everybody else. And if you've gotten a chance to drive one of our cars with full self-driving, semi-autonomous driving, You'll see what I'm talking about. Get a hold of me after this if you want to enter your name in a raffle to take one for a weekend, and you can check it out yourself. Our AI was the genesis behind our robot. That's where it came from. The thinking was our AI is so advanced that we could design a robot from it, and we did. And we have 2 of them working right now in our factories. They are doing very mundane, boring tasks that most humans can't do for sustained periods of time. So it's not taking people's jobs. Right now, they're building battery packs. They basically take the cells out of a shipping container and they put it into the battery pack. It's perfect for that. We plan on having 2,000 of our robots working by the end of next year in our factories. And then we'd like to be able to sell them to consumers late 2027 or else 2028. And the first use will be, of course, back to humanity. In that sense, it'll be for handicapped people and people for self-assisted living. That'll be the main direction for them when they first go on retail. So very excited to see it. If you want to see what he looks like and what he does, he's on YouTube. Just go to Tesla Bot and you'll see him. He can fold clothes and he can crack a raw egg. The sensors in his fingers come from our development. And so most of the questions we get asked about him is if in fact he can do household chores. So people ask if he can vacuum and take the garbage out and things like that. And yeah, of course, he'll be able to do all those things. But really, the main direction for him at first is going to be to help people out. So along with that, we're talking about the launch of the robotaxi fleet. So what's the difference between our robotaxi, driverless taxis, and say Waymo? First of all, it's the use of our advanced camera system and our AI. You don't see a lot of appendages sticking out of our cars, such as Waymo. But regardless of that, there'll be, a profit situation where you own a Tesla and you go to work or you work from home and you put it into robotaxi mode and then someone can hail it and use it. And then your car's going to be making money for you while you're not soon enough. We hope to find out Thursday when Elon talks about it.
New production? Is that just going to be new production cars from now on?
We'll have to see. Right now, our firmware, our hardware is at level 4, which supports the current self-driving and is part of the robotaxi fleet. So it's potential for current vehicles. Well, we'll see. Hard to say at this point. Yes, sir.
Do you know when you'll be good to go in the city like Waymo?
Once again, I'll find out on Thursday. Right. So
Back from Pennsylvania?
Ooh, Max. Max Shapiro, by the way.
Yeah. Maybe they'll maybe show up in our accessories. Anyway.
And do you know what it retails for once it goes to market?
I don't have any pricing information at this point. What I can tell you is our current full self-driving is available for $8,000. It stays with the car. You can purchase it at any time you own a Tesla. So it's not just at the beginning. But the other way that most people get it is they rent it. So right now you can rent full self-driving for $99 a month. And you can turn it on this month and turn it off next. There's no term required. A lot of people do it for vacations, that type of thing. A lot of people like to have fun with it when relatives are visiting because they don't tell them about it and they get them in the car and then they take their hands off the wheel and let's go. Anyway, that's the way most people get it right now.
On the robots, what do you know the retail for that?
So the goal on the robot is to sell in the same quantity as our cars, which is hundreds of thousands. And so in that quantity, the goal is to have him retail for somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. Is there a question in the back? No? Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. You mentioned the firmware was level 4 already, but is the hardware on the car is level 4?
So the hardware on the cars built since 2022 is updated to that level. So we had a big camera change, as you know, we updated those for free. But the hardware will continue to be updated. I know we're working on front bumper cams, which is already standard on the Cybertruck. So speaking of the Cybertruck, so how many people in here like the Cybertruck?
It's ugly.
It's very controversial. We know
You didn't
that.
design it, did you?
I did not know. It's polar. There's no doubt about it. You know, Elon was like, I don't want to build a pickup truck like everybody else. The basic design dates back to the 1800s. He's like, I don't want to do that. He says, what's the future of a truck? What does it look like? And so he gives our designers some freedom to do it, like it or hate it. We have close to 2 million orders for it. Now, maybe a lot of those are speculators. So we'll take even a third of those orders. It'll be fine. Right now, we're making 4,000 a week from our plant in Austin. And really, you know, the amount of money invested in that truck is already paid off. And I'll tell you how it's paid off. How many kids nowadays tell you the type of car that they can't wait to get or drive? Very few. They'd rather have the newest technology in a phone or whatever it is. But the kids that love that truck are huge, 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 huge. They love it. I don't know if it's because they think it's a big Tonka truck or what it is, but manufacturers spend billions of dollars to try and get young people interested in a car nowadays. Billions. It's very difficult. And here we did it just with this truck. And so that's, you know, that's for us a home run right there by itself, win, lose, or draw. Okay. Yes, sir.
So was the Cybertruck styling and aesthetics driven by bronze clay model, or was it the fact that there's no tooling needed? You know, all the tens of millions of tooling for stamping. Was it a cost decision to style that way, or did bronze do that in the studio?
I think Elon saw it in the Moonraker.
So, you know, Elon's, you know, belief, of course, is that everything can be done, you know, through computer aided technology. And that it obfuscates the need to build a lot of pre-production clay models and hard models and prototypes and things like that. So now that's, you know, that's his vision, of course. Now, the reality is there's probably somewhere in between that and traditional methods of bringing a new car to market.
So it wasn't because it was the lower tooling cost?
You know, I can't really get into those details. Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Any truth to the rumor that Johnny Ive designed that truck?
I don't know. Anyway, so there's going to be a lot upcoming from this, and you know, Elon doesn't think about today really. He's way down the road in his visionary thoughts, and that's one of the reasons why I picked Tesla, because yeah, it's controversial, but I like the fact of how we've pushed the envelope, and we'll continue to push the envelope and lead the industry. And of course, for a lot of you, that involves you know, AI. And so it's just going to continue to progress. And by the time our competitors catch up to us, well, we're going to be on to the next level. So anyway, if you haven't driven one and you want to see what our semi-autonomous driving is about, feel free, get a hold of me after all this is over, and we'll put your name in the hat for a drawing. And I guarantee you, you'll be very interested in how it operates. We launched the current version in April. And when you purchase or lease a car, you get 30 days free to try it out. And we've had 3 major updates since then. And so it just keeps getting better and better.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll have to take a break. So we have coffee next door, and chance to network with each other as well. Thank you guys for coming. Be back in about 20 minutes.
Save typically 15 to 30% on operational costs year over year. So if you guys, are looking to, do a couple things like that, then let me know. Happy to chat with you afterwards. I don't think I have a lot of time right now, but
No, you
thank
have
you
time.
for.
How big is this Trident thing?
We are a publicly traded firm, about 23,000 clients, with about 300,000 employees, and with their dependents, about 1 million people are underneath our umbrella. So when we go to the carriers, we have incredible buying power that, startups can tap into.
You have access to investors, to family offices, to
Great.
banks.
Thank you for teeing that up. Yes, we have a great network of VCs and other professional services like legal or IP services. I'm happy to connect you and meet you where you are today and to facilitate introductions. And obviously just support the startup ecosystem. So,
And how small or big does a company need to be to fit into your?
great question. We start with companies around 3 employees on up. Typically, we're helping out companies in the seed to Series A stage. But we've historically scaled up with companies like Netflix and Yelp and Snowflake. Those companies all started off with us at a very low headcount, and then used us to scale up. They wanted to focus on revenue generating activities, where we took on all that back office burden for them. Recently, one of our good clients, my clients that I signed up, EarthGrid, they just recently won the Startup World Cup. We onboarded them 2 years ago-ish, and they've been just kicking butt, heads down, focused on their product. So that's what we're, hoping to do for you guys as well. So
the Tesla guy has free stuff. What do you have for us?
no drawing, no nothing like that.
Free HR for the weekend.
I think GP said something earlier where he was, all the founders here, they're doing so much with pushing the boundaries forward that a lot of them will apply for things like R&D tax credits. It's something that is in our wheelhouse as well. We support that internally. But it's one of those things that companies are missing out on. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars that they could tap into. So no freebies. No freebies, but yeah, we'll get money back in some way or another. So.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, brother. Yep.
GP, Bill, come on up here. Let's do this. So I asked GP and Bill, we were gonna bring an investor, but I figured we talk to see investors talk all the time. Last thing you wanna do is listen to another investor talk. This is an interesting topic for me because I'm not a semi guy, but working with GP, I learned more about GP. This is yours.
Oh, sorry.
I learned more about semiconductors and what their importance is. Guys, as far as AI investing, we don't need to talk about it. There's a ton of money being poured into AI, but fundamentally AI relies on one thing and one thing only, which is the damn chip. So if the chips don't work, if they don't scale, we're gonna have a problem. But in my opinion, is the cost of AI compute seems reasonable now, but it's gonna go much, much higher. I'm working with a guy out of the East Coast. He's paying $300,000 a month just in AI compute cost. And if he doubles, his number's gonna double and double and double. That's because the compute cost is gonna be out of this world. Last but not least, based on the CPI insights, they made a bunch of predictions in January, and all of them came true except for one. Sorry about we do have the girlfriend. We do have journalism being overtaken by AI, data scarcity, training, bad actors, all of it going on. But the one that isn't so clear on this slide, which is this one. The power-hungry AI data centers are a problem. It is predicted that some AI centers would consume as much energy as a small country would. So much so that micro or small nuclear plants are back into play. create small nuclear plants just to power those AI machines. So with that in mind, Mr. Bill, tell us a bit about you and why are you here?
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, so that was actually a really interesting slide there. So why am I here? So my background is 20 plus years here in the Valley, working in and around the data center infrastructure, basically. And you know, I think the past 10 years has been really, really interesting because cloud has made everything easy. So AWS, GCP infrastructure can come right out of button, right? So now we are here in the AI era, and everybody has to refigure out how all these infrastructure pieces come together, because at the very core of it, you probably want to have a low power chip like what GP presented earlier, and then how does that now affect the rest of that architecture, right? So my team, we help companies go to market, and that's through ecosystem connections, business development, but really leveraging a lot of our relationships and experiences to get these solutions faster deployed, speed up time to market. So that's kind of what our consulting group is.
What about the data center sourcing thing you told me about?
Yeah. So we have a small team of advisors that help companies look for data center power and space and power, right? And then so last year, in kind of like a market reference, 1 or 2 megawatts was a big deal in the industry. And it kind of got around into the network, the ecosystem. You knew who was looking for what power. This year, our average request is anywhere from 5 to 10 megawatts. And our team is currently working on over 150 megawatts of a request. So that is like, I think Chicago is 80 megawatts, right? I mean, you think about like the amount of power demand has been going through the roof.
So what's a typical use case? I'm a startup guy. How do I use?
Yeah, so you brought up a story earlier, Jordan. You have somebody that their compute cost is going to go up in AWS. Most startups are going to grow up in the public clouds, whether it's AWS or GCP, right? But as soon as they hit that inflection point and prices go through the roof, they have no chance but just to pay that bill, and to be able to keep their business going. So at that inflection point, that's when they start looking for private cloud options. And that can come in many forms, whether it's going to be another GPU as a service provider like Lambda, CoreWeave, whatever, or you're looking to build your own data centers, right? And then that is, I think, the big knowledge gap that a lot of AI startups need to fill very quickly to make sure that they keep up with their business demands.
So what about the enterprise?
Enterprise is coming, and it's not there yet. And I think you guys probably follow tracking this as well, right? You know, privacy is key for enterprise. So they do want to make progress, but a lot of times they have to be very explicit on the use cases and where the data is going. We just had the AI Infra Summit, CXO Roundtable, where this was the center of discussion. We want progress, but we need to manage risks, right? So the way that we're seeing it, enterprise is coming. We're at the doorsteps. Use cases are starting to be shared, and we're working with a few startup companies that are actually solving some of these problems. So by next spring, I think enterprise is going to be starting to come into this space and take up a lot more power.
GP, how did you get here?
In this room or?
In this room. Why are you here? What are you doing here?
Okay, so he's at providing the data center, and we are at the bottom of the value chain, not at the bottom of the value, but in the chain. We are at the bottom providing the semiconductor. And semiconductors are actually the heart of the problem. Okay, and if you start me, I mean, if you have time, I can talk a lot. That would be very summary.
Do your thing. Yes, sir.
Said data centers are affordable now. I personally completely disagree. They are not affordable, okay, today. I'll just have a few seconds, take the story, okay, and that will show my age, I guess. But I remember I grew in a village in India, and when I was a child, my father was sent to bring vegetables from farmers market. There's only farmers market there in the villages, and he comes empty-handed in the evening, okay. The mother asked me, "Oh, what's going on? Why you come empty-handed?" Everything is so expensive. I couldn't buy anything. So same thing is happening. People who have seen the computing being affordable, for them, the computing is not affordable today. Number two, you notice what Bill said. I am building data center and I'm selling megawatts. And you know that I heard him say in past also, actually a couple days ago, and I started scratching my head. Wait a minute. Data center is for computing. What does it mean megawatt? Why am I buying megawatt? Am I not buying computing? You see the game wherein the power has become such a humongous problem that when I go to buy, I'm talking about megawatt, not about the compute, right? So why am I here? Because when we started, I mean, I have been with AI computing even before AI became popular. I used to work for a company that repurposed itself to become an AI computing. And at that, so I have been working in this so-called AI hardware world for 2012 when this AlphaGo happened and it beat the Go player. And that's considered the definitive time of arrival of AI. And power consumption, at least to me, has become very clear that this is going to become the bottleneck. So we are solving the power consumption problem at semiconductor level. That's why I'm here. Sorry, very long answer.
No, it's all good, it's all good. So you and Bill are solving one problem. You're trying to provide performance at a lower power.
Yes.
And you try to provide performance at a lower cost. Hopefully.
Yes.
So how does his story and your story work together?
Okay, yeah, so, there's a lot of components, there's a lot of layers in infrastructure, right? So everything from power and dirt, like the real estate and the actual like power that's going into the data centers, all the way into the systems, the chips, the racks, cooling, And then so, we are like 20 years ago, I was just talking to another semiconductor executive, and I said, we wouldn't talk to each other. Network guys and chip guys are very separate. We're too far away from the stack. And then now, in this AI era, we all have to work together, right? Because it's AI workloads that need to be powered urgently. And now all the compute has to work together. So then we are starting to work with a lot of chip guys like GP, right, to be able to put this solution together. So even though he has these chips, that chart right behind you actually is kind of one of the limiting things, right? Which is 300 kW per rack. That's going to be the upper limit. But if Cyrus One is talking about that, they're just saying that we can wire the electricity so you can get 300 kW per rack. Right now, most AI workloads are about 50 to 70 kW per rack, and Supermicro just announced that they could support 250 kW per rack. And they're the one that's putting together the systems and the coolings and things like that, right? So right now, there's a lot of confusion about what these numbers mean. And then we help put that together, get a little bit of clarity for the customers so that either a .ai startup or an enterprise can speed up their deployment. And at the center of all that is the computing chip, the engine that runs it all. And that's how we would, I think, work together.
So on your side, Mr. GP, and I am thinking, just like all things in the world, they're going to start to push some of that power consumption outside the data center, into the edge, put some of the AI compute away from these data centers. What do you say about that?
I think the problem will be solved in many ways. Exactly the same way we have solved our compute problem. When the computing world started, you wouldn't have a laptop with you. You wouldn't even have a desktop. You will have a terminal.
Most of these people don't even know what a terminal means, so talk English.
Okay. You will have a mainframe computer that is
Still not English.
you will be provided this huge thing that will be called computer by ambient. And you will hire an engineer who will say, I am going to do your spreadsheet. And for that, you need to pay a few $1 million to get to IBM, who will provide you this facility of the thing that I can build your spreadsheet. Okay.
Fast track to today.
Fast track to today, you can do the same thing in your cell phone right now, right? Exactly same thing is going to happen to AI. Today, you see the presence of AI only in the very big data centers. Very soon, that will happen in your smartwatch, or if we have our way, in the rings that will be worn by people. In a few months, starting in a few months, in a small locket that can detect. That's obviously for my personal reason. If my mother falls, I get a text message so that I can call my brother, go attend to her.
Well, that's happening today, because they're putting a lot of
Yes.
AI chips in Dell, and everybody's announcing an AI chip in Europe.
Correct.
Is that what you see happening going forward?
Yes, the distributive AI is going to track I mean, in my opinion, it will track exactly the same path that the computer has tracked from IBM Ping to your cell phone.
I have some thoughts on that, and I think that, so we met a couple weeks ago, I saw your presentation, right? And around me, I was like, oh, you're doing this from the edge in. That's a really different, it's going against the grain and it's brilliant, right? And then you have the DNA that you started building this 5 years ago, seeing this problem, this challenge happen, right? And what GP is described is correct. Computing starts in the middle, those big mainframes, right? And then eventually as technology comes in, we want to push more intelligence closer to the edge. Edge is at the consumption point. Now we have devices like IoT, that's the IoT edge, right? Our phones is our edge, is the human edge, right? So the way that this is kind of all coming together, if we know that right now the big data center power consumptions are because the models in the middle are really, really big, right? And that's where the bottlenecks are. GP's technology is already solving the edge, and he's going the edge in, which a lot of people in the middle of those two realities, they're going to start changing their solutions so they can leverage the edge more because it's more available, right? And it's less power and so on and so forth. So I think that's really interesting.
A dumb question. Are you saying I'm gonna do ChatGPT on my watch, or you doing something substantially lower?
Hopefully you will be able to do ChatGPT in a small chip somewhere you're wearing as you're
In
hearing.
the next couple of years. But is AI capacity needed at the edge device, or are you gonna do some limited AI and the heavy duty goes back to the cloud?
So let me, sorry to, let me actually present. I think AI is going to become multi-layer. I personally have been talking it for a very long time. What you see today in at least my language is a ChatGPT type application, which I call as 1.5 layer AI. It's not really an AI, it's search built on AI or AI built on search. As the time progresses, this intelligence is going to keep growing, and intelligence will be calling, monitoring, correcting, maneuvering intelligence. And it will happen at multiple layers. So the need for the computing is going to keep growing. How the sector will get divided, whether the compute machine will build a router which will connect to a telecom, which will connect to a data center, who will own what piece of this equation is not very clear today, because it's just at least in my definition, it is in infancy phase today. So yes, all of these will grow.
So we have 5 minutes. Questions? All right, Armand doesn't ask questions, because he asked, oh, yeah. Any questions from the audience about this before we wrap up? Okay. Rishi, is there any AI thing that's resonating with you from this conversation, since you're Mr. AI?
Not right now, but I mean, a lot of our deployments are on-prem, right? So we don't have the same conversations right now that I mean, customer buys a full server rack and
Because they're doing their work on premise?
Why
is that?
sensitive data, right? Like Boeing will not put their plane right in the cloud. But those will happen slowly. So
Yeah, I have a comment on that. So that's really interesting too. That's going to be a pattern. So again, the past 10 years, everybody has adopted the cloud as kind of the majority of the world, right? And now with AI, especially with enterprise AI, what we're seeing is there's a lot on-premises come back, right? We do need to house some of the servers because we need to be able to gate all the information going in and out, private data that's go out. So it's really interesting how this pendulum keeps on swinging back and forth, but on-prem enterprise is going to be coming back.
Before I forget, what do you tell the startups about the cost of AI? Is it flat, high, low, in your opinion?
It's hard to answer that question because within the public cloud, they're competing within themselves, right? So GCP, AWS, and they're going to throw a ton of services to make sure that you stay. And then there's going to be this tipping point where you can't leave. It's a Hotel California effect, we call it, right? You have so much data there that it would be impossible to leave, right? So that's kind of why everybody's leaning away from the public clouds. And you get to a point where you need to start thinking about a hybrid or multi-cloud strategy or on-prem. So it's really hard to equate what is the total cost of ownership of each one of those solutions. You really have to kind of make a business case, and each one's going to be different.
Yeah, we see that happening right now. Actually, we have at least two customers in industrial automation. They are also doing, and we said, okay, why don't you take this data and send it to the public cloud? No public cloud. So on-premise computing is coming not just in the military type application, but even for the simple industrial automation. Nobody wants their data to go to the cloud because there is always going to be some ransomware which will become more intelligent and will haunt them.
That's right. And if you extrapolate that further, another trend that's happening is sovereign AI, right? So each country wants to build their own LLM. So we just hosted a delegation from Uzbekistan. We want to build an Uzbekistan LLM with our data set, with our history, right? And in order to do that, we have to build inside the country because it can't be in the public cloud. So yes, enterprise and then sovereign is coming.
It was asking the next question, which is, where are those racks? Where is this infrastructure of these data centers?
Where they live in data centers now.
But you're expanding at such a great rate.
Yeah.
It's exponential expansion. What's going to happen?
Right. So, okay, so the data centers as we know it right now, the way that we look at it is the Equinix Digital Realty. These are the data centers you know, love, and trust, right? These are in channel. A lot of our requests, the 150 megawatts that we're looking for, 90% of them are with new providers. Somebody that's connected to a nuclear plant and has a permit and needs the next 2 years to build it out, but he needs a customer, right? And then so we're the middleman that helps match that up. So the data centers right now are in data centers, but soon they will be in these new sites connected to new power sources. Micronuclear is making a lot of noise right now. Self-generating power, blue box with gas and solar combination. There's a lot of stuff going on in that sector.
Can I ask you one more question? What is Amazon doing?
They're building their own mega data centers quietly.
Across the.
Not so
Across-
quickly, actually. They're building.
They try to be quiet, but everybody, there's like paparazzi following them, taking pictures and everything.
They're opening a massive project in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. We're working with that Saudi Arabia company. Yeah, okay.
But they have a massive project in Saudi, and they also open Microsoft, a massive data center in Quebec.
And they don't open just one at a time, it's like 6 at a time.
Yeah, and it's like a gigawatt at a time.
All right, any last questions before we move to the next person? Thank you all for listening to this. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you ready?
Yes. Down means forward as well. Not up and to the right.
There you go.
Okay, so we will go through this at some speed. So if you take one thing away from this, is that we can reverse the primary cause of human mortality. Atherosclerosis, which is the thing that you really should be thinking about, and probably half the people in this room are too young to do so. So as you get older, you get fatty atherosclerotic plaques growing in your blood vessels throughout your body. These narrow blood vessels, reduced blood flow will give you vascular dementia, it will give you heart failure, it will give you a bunch of other things. But the thing that kills 27% of every single human being is that these plaques rupture and cause a blockage that leads to a heart attack or a stroke. This is a big problem. Why is it a big problem? It's a big problem because the current standard of care, meaning statins, PCSK9 inhibitors, lower LDL cholesterol in the bloodstream, but you can take these drugs for years, and the average reduction of your existing atherosclerotic plaque is 0. But we know that the few people who get even a 1% reduction have something like a 20% reduction in incidence of stroke and heart attack. So it's very important to regress the plaque. It's just that the present standard of care cannot do that. We can. We have a gene therapy, lipid nanoparticle mRNA, that actually delivers to the liver and rapidly and safely regresses atherosclerotic plaque in mouse models. So this is a cross-section of the top of the heart. You're looking down onto the valves around the circumference. The fiddly bits in the middle are leaflets. The plaque here is stained red with oil red O. Mice with treated are much better off than the ones that are not. There's 20% regression in 6 weeks of treatment. Remember, years of statins produces 0 on average regression of plaque. Now that's graphs for the people who like graphs, the same data. More than a 20% regression in 6 weeks of treatment in mice using this lipid nanoparticle mRNA versus the vehicle treatment. Now we take these mice before we sacrifice them and we put them on a treadmill. Now these are fat, sedentary mice. They're not going to win any records, but they are so much better off for this treatment. Improved liver function, improved cardiovascular function. They can run for longer. These mice are doing great until we kill them. So the IP and competition. The IP, the core of it, is a fusion protein that goes into cells, enables those cells to break down cholesterol. Cells don't normally break down cholesterol. They can't, which is why you have excess cholesterol. But in this case, we allow cells to get rid of this stuff. And the result is benefits throughout the body, even if you only do it in the liver. We licensed this from the University of South Alabama. It's an amazing license. We got a great deal. We were the first people to put this into animals, and we built our patent tree on top of that and continue to build it. Nobody likes to hear there's no competition, but to a first approximation, there's no competition. So there's only one other preclinical company in the US that has data showing that they can reverse plaque. Their therapy is very different from ours. My CSO believes it's going to have trouble scaling into humans, and they can't treat the diseases that we are going after. Plus, it's an enormous market. There could be 20 of these people, and we'd all be doing great. We'd all get our slice. Everybody else, lipid-lowering therapies that don't reverse plaque, and we are complementary to those therapies. We're not competing. So, first human trial. We're presently just finishing up our pre-IND. We'll do an IND submission early 2026, trial completion late 2027. And we'll do it in homozygous familial hypercholesterolemia, which we shall call HLFH because it's hard to say a lot. But this is a very rare disease. The patients exhibit greatly accelerated atherosclerosis, have short lifespans, and there's very little that can be done about that. They go weekly apheresis, $250,000 a year. And that keeps them alive for longer than would otherwise be the case. From there, our therapy will work in all forms of atherosclerosis. The rare disease is just because the FDA is going to give you an easier time of it, fast track approval, lower cost, less time to get you where you go. But the valuation is derived from the fact that then we can immediately take that and expand to the whole population. And this is just a timeline in a little more sort of Gantt format because some people like that. It's worth mentioning that we have NHP studies going, and we'll get the first of those completed early next year. At the present rate, we're being hurricaned on right now. Our facility is actually in Florida. Now, if atherosclerosis wasn't enough, we've also demonstrated that we can rapidly and dramatically reverse MASH, which used to be called non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which is a horrible liver disease, which is largely irreversible. And of course, a bunch of neurodegenerative conditions also involve dysfunctional liver metabolism, and there'll be an industry coming after us taking our technology and applying it to all of these forms of age-related disease where cholesterol inside cells is a major problem. In terms of market size, so look, it's large, right? Every single human being over the age of 40. The fact that homozygous familial hypercholesterolemia, our first indication, is a tiny market doesn't matter. Our valuation will depend on the fact that there are vast markets following on from it. So you've got to make an economic argument. Fortunately, it's really easy to make an economic argument in the case of cardiovascular disease because the lifetime cost there in red from a 2002 study, then add a bunch of inflation, is $740,000 just for treating it. That's not the opportunity cost or all the rest of it. That's just treating it. Our therapy, $10,000 or less to manufacture at scale, and the payers will happily pay multiples of $10,000 to avoid paying large chunks of that $740,000. So that last slide is why you have companies like Verve Therapeutics, who are just building a better statin, can go public with only non-human primate data at $1 billion valuation. That's why the market is enormously hungry for any progress. If somebody came up with a therapy that just gave you a 2% regression of plaque volume reliably, that would be worth a ridiculous amount of money. And we do 10 times better than that. The same thing could be said for the people who are working on MASH. Resmetirom was approved this year, the first treatment for MASH. That therapy reduces, after a year of treatment of $50,000, reduces your fibrosis in your liver by 10% in only some patients with mild NASH, and $5 billion valuation right prior to that approval. So we'll go public, we'll be bid on, there'll be a bidding war for us as soon as we have human data. We'll probably get acquired in 2027. Going public is an option if the market is amazing and roaring, 2027. Anyway, so us. So I have a 20+ year background of patient advocacy in the aging space. Modesty aside, I know everybody. So that's how I was able to raise and start a company. Morad Topors is a friend of the inventor of the technology who has a Pfizer, Harvard background. He is a tremendously capable cardiometabolic researcher, and we wouldn't be where we were without him. Bobby Kahn, our CMO, has put drugs through the FDA for cardiovascular disease. He's actually an atherosclerosis physician. He's very well connected in the CRO space. And if you're doing rare disease, you have to pick the CROs that have done it before, who know the PIs, who know all the patients. You've got to do that. It's vital. So he's great. And Bill Sherman, my co-founder, is the guy who persuaded me to start this company in the first place. And he brings an operations background to the table. If you're going to start a company, start it with someone who actually enjoys doing taxes. That is my advice. So I want to say something about the Carlsbergs here, our two of our advisors. Richard von Cannon first is the inventor of the technology. But the Ronald Carlsberg and Daniel Carlsberg are research cardiologists. They have their own practices on the left and right coast. And Ronald is a part of the faction of research cardiologists who want the FDA to stop using LDL cholesterol as their surrogate endpoint for cardiovascular disease because it is not working. They want them to switch to say, okay, your therapy is going to regress plaque. Regression of plaque is going to be the endpoint as measured by CT scans or MRI. And this faction has been severely hampered by the fact that there was no therapy that did this. So they were very happy to hook up with us and find out what we were doing and see what we were doing. And a therapy that can reliably regress plaque is the holy grail for this community. And we have it. Anyway, so the deal. So in brief, we've raised something like 19 million to date. Safe note, seed rounds. Our last price round, we were at 52 million post-money valuation mid last year before things all went south. And we're presently raising 18 million to get to our first IND submission. If this year had been a glorious roaring market, we'd raise 35 and just go all the way through to the end of the first trial. But glorious roaring market has not been. We've raised 6 million of that nonetheless from family offices with a 60 million pre-money valuation safe note, standard YC safe, nothing fancy. And we expect to exit in 2027 and we expect our valuation to be very high because Verve Therapeutics therapy is nowhere near as good as ours. And they went public at $1 billion valuation or close to. And they topped out some $3 billion in the public markets in the year afterward. Anyway, so that is that in a nutshell, and I'm happy to take questions at that point.
Is there a question?
You.
Go ahead.
Like what you're doing, I understand 50% of what you said, but boy, are we interested in what you're up to. Your $18 million safe note gets you how far? Is that still pre-revenue?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so how far do we get on 18 million safe note? And you mentioned the terms pre-revenue. So if you do a therapeutic biotech right, you never see revenue before your liquidity event, right? So our liquidity event will be well prior to approval, never mind revenue. So this gets us to IND submission in early 2026. The money will be spent on largely GMP manufacturing, license, and the IND enabling studies, which have to be in non-human primates by the nature of the therapy.
Gotcha. You have a good team, good advisory board. Does anyone on the team or your scientific advisory board have prior exits?
Say that again?
Prior exits.
Do any of us have prior exits? So we're a first-time team. Our CMO has a prior exit with his prior approval. I think they're still working on the final details of that exit. And our advisory board is, I direct you to look at the enormous CV for Ronald Carlsberg in terms of what he's accomplished over the years.
So I'm sorry if I missed this, but you haven't done human trial yet?
Early 2026 is when we will start our first human trial.
And when you were doing it on the mice, did you guys, what was the negative side effects did you see?
There are no negative side effects unless you dose absolutely ridiculous levels of lipid nanoparticle. The actual drug, the drug product that we use, the drug substance, I guess, actually the mRNA, because of the way this fusion protein works in cells, it's rate limited. It will only degrade the excess cholesterol. You can load up as much of it as you like in cells, and if there is no excess cholesterol, it will do exactly nothing until the proteins are cycled out. The only way you get toxicity with our lipid nanoparticle mRNA therapy is you dose enough of the lipids, the lipid nanoparticle, for the ionizable lipid to start causing toxicity in the liver, and that dose is way above our effective dose range. So no side effects.
That's the same.
Yeah, I know you probably don't know this at the stage because you haven't planned the human trials yet, but what will be the method of delivery for the drug in humans, and how many courses will they need to take? Is it a lifelong? Is it like a yearly delivery, or is it a one-time, kind of drug delivery that you have in mind?
So what's the treatment protocol in humans? So our clinical trial is going with 8 weeks of once weekly infusions. So you go in, get 100 milliliters of diluted drug, and then you take a CT scan, see how much your plaque got regressed. And it's a little early to say, what will the final form be, but we're definitely not thinking it's a continuous thing. Maybe you do it once every few years. Even for HoFH patients with dramatically accelerated atherosclerosis, these people die in their 30s, right? So you have decades in time in which to regress. And if you're making a 20% regression, then maybe we can guess that an HoFH patient is once a year at worst. Normal atherosclerosis, much less frequent.
Next question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this really calcium scores?
So
What was the question?
does it do anything to calcium scores? So calcification is a different process that just happens to go in lockstep with the development of fatty lesions. Now, in the models we use, which are ApoE mice, ApoE knockout mice, and LDLR knockout mice, they're really bad at producing calcification. You do 100 mice, you might get 15 who have significant calcification. Now, our data shows that we're regressing calcification, but I'm not going to stand by that, given the number of mice involved in the studies and how few have actually seriously calcified lesions. So maybe is the answer.
That's okay, I was just asking mechanism.
Yeah, mechanistically, if lesions are a wound, right, and your body wants to repair it, and what we're showing is that something in the liver is preventing the systems from doing that. So in principle, if your macrophages and all the other cells are doing their job, then you should be regressing this to some degree. But again, proving that there are no good models for it.
Thank you.
That was just a practical question. The minimum check size, is there a discount or a cap on the sale?
Yeah, no discount because we come from a corner that doesn't like to move that lever around. But minimum check size, I mean, come talk to me and tell me what your check size is. Our philosophy, Bill and I, has long been that we dislike the fact that because we were investors ourselves, we dislike the fact that investors, angels, are locked out of most of the really good biotech deals. So we're not going to turn you away if you have a sub sort of, family office, institutional investor check size.
All right, that's our 15. Let's go and grab a card and let's score this one. Go ahead and scan that in if you can. I don't know how exactly Jordan did this, but I'll look and see if I can do what he's doing. Yeah, let's go. Let's just use the cards because I don't know exactly where he picked that up for us. Where to go? Oh, we're just trying to get the QR code up on the screen. But I think it's this one that we negative one. All right, good, great. More scores, and then we'll go to the next one. Next up is going to be Keto Tech. This one. That's forward, that's back. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, it is. Because there's people on the online that are watching this and so forth. So the screen is. They're ready. As long as the screen is on.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks, Hall, and thanks Perkins Coie, who are my attorneys too, for making us available for me today. So I'm here today to talk to you about Biotech Medical. And our company has developed, which is what is really a new way to treat pain in general and chronic pain in particular. So myself, I'm a Stanford and Yale trained physician. I've started a number of healthcare products companies, Biotech, MedDevice, 2 have gone public on NASDAQ. And about 10 years ago, I was at the University of Washington as an entrepreneur in residence, where I ran into a guy who was making what are known as microneedles, and came up with the idea of changing those into little tiny metal micropoints. And originally we used these to develop a wound closure product, which was successfully and is successfully being sold on both all the Walgreens stores and all the CVS stores, and it also is on Amazon. So it's doing really well. But what happened was a major discovery, and it was made by one of our investors, who's an orthopedic surgeon who had to stop practicing because of back pain. I sent him one, and he put it on his back, and his back pain went away. And that was an aha moment for our company, because we realized we were onto something. And then I tried it, not believing it would really work. And it did. And then one of our board members tried it, and he has severe, unremitting sciatica. And he's former president of American Plastic Surgeons. He called me the next day. He said to me, "This works so well, nobody's gonna believe it." And he and I, who have chronic pain, have been using it for the last 2 years, and it's really changed my life. So this is something that is really a life changer and a game changer, and I'll talk to you about it. So what chronic pain is about, it's about the millions of us who have it, who don't really have any way to treat it. The typical healthcare treatments, we usually get about 5 of them, don't work very well. And there's almost no consumer products, in fact, none, that can be used to treat this condition. So based on all that, we decided basically relaunch our company and pivot to treat chronic pain with pain pause. And we're just about to launch the product in a couple weeks, and it has a very large market opportunity, as you can imagine. So chronic pain is the most common medical disorder. Over 50 million people have it, and over $600 billion a year are spent by the United States to treat chronic pain. It's more common than heart disease, than cancer, than diabetes. And unfortunately, for all of us who have it, there's no good way to treat it at home today. So we developed our MicroMed wound closure product. It's identical into a pain product. And it basically consists, it's amazing, but this little, I'll pass it around, this little tiny product can treat almost every type of pain. I didn't believe it, but now we have the clinical data to show it. So pass a couple of them around. It's as easy to apply as a bandage. We've treated over 500,000 people with it. Never had a safety problem with the wound closure product, and this is the same. So we know it's safe. It's rapid acting, and it's unique. And it's unique because it treats chronic pain, and it treats severe pain. Again, unique. We've now tested it in a variety of different conditions. I'm a medical oncologist, and I don't believe anything works until I do a clinical study. And in fact, almost no consumer products in pain have undergone clinical studies. And this is just some, and the number of conditions that it's being used in is increasing by the month. So we performed our first study in patients with severe chronic pain. These patients have scores of 8 out of 10, which is considered very severe pain. They had an average age of 68, and 18 of them got our product, and 5 of them got a placebo product, which was identical, except had smaller micropoints that do not relieve the pain. They each got 1 patch, and we used a clinically accepted endpoint for measuring pain relief. This is the endpoint the FDA uses, and it's more than a 30% decrease in pain. And what we saw was pretty astounding. 17 out of the 18 patients who received pain pause met that endpoint. Only 1 of 5 of the placebo, and that one only had a 31%, but it counts because it was above 30%. And the average decrease in pain in this study was 60%, which is very, very high. And with 1 patch, a week of pain relief. So how does this work? Well, I'm going to tell, I don't normally tell this, but when you have pain, what's the first thing you do? What's the first thing? You rub on the area. Why do you rub on the area? Well, it turns out that right underneath your skin are receptors that we learn about in medical school. And those receptors activate, when they get activated, they stimulate nerves that shut down pain. And they do it in the spinal cord. And this is the gate theory of pain, which we all learned in medical school. How does our product do that? You apply that patch just like a bandage. You've got the springs. They force those micropoints into the top layer of the skin where those receptors are located, and that's what shuts off the pain. And it's backed by a recently issued patent. We have more patents coming. And I'm proud to say we're working with probably the leading manufacturers of bandages and tapes in the world. One thing I'll say too is I've spent 30 years dealing with the FDA. And when I started this, I decided we're going to use a different category to get this through. And that's called a 510(k) exempt device. Those devices are minimal risk. They only require a simple registration to fill out, and then you can sell the product. So as I said, over 50 million Americans have chronic pain, back pain, which I have, knee pain, hip pain, and many, about 25% have multiple different sites. The average one of us has had 5 different treatments. I've had surgery, steroid injections, you name it. And we have severe pain that lasts for many, many years. The average person has pain for about 11 years and many for their lifetime. What we all want is an easy and convenient way to treat our pain at home. So consumer products, they do represent an option, and there's a variety of them. You got the ones you put on the skin, you see on the right. You've got the Advil and Aleve pills. What's the problems? The problems are they only provide very short-term relief. The other thing is they don't treat severe pain. They treat mild to moderate pain, and they can work for that. Third, which you may not realize, is these products have major safety issues. For example, Advil and Aleve, the FDA and the AMA recommend you don't take those products if you're over the age of 50 for more than a week, because you'll end up with hypertension, you can have kidney failure, GI bleeding. The other products have lidocaine. The FDA in March came out with a warning for lidocaine for topical products as dangerous because it can be associated with cardiac arrhythmias and also seizures. So what you have is you don't have options. And then what happens is many of these people, 10 million to be exact, end up with narcotics. So what we have is a product that leverages the body's natural abilities to treat pain. It provides pain relief for up to a week, And importantly, it treats severe pain, which the other products cannot. It's easy to apply as a bandage. And very importantly, drug, chemical free and clinically proven. And I would say we are continuing to do medical studies. I have a clinical study ongoing, second study in back pain, a study in knee pain. We're starting a study in plantar fasciitis. Importantly, this one product can be used for all these different conditions. You don't have different sizes, different shapes, and so on. It's amazing. The average person spends $800 a year to treat their chronic pain, and I can attest to that. Our product, 4 of these, which should be able to give you pain relief for up to a month for $36. And obviously, people are going to use this repeatedly, so a subscription model is something we're going to use. You can see the margins are excellent. So right now, we're launching the product in 2 weeks by direct consumer. We're going to start with our own website and then Amazon. Our Amazon vendor is a major investor, and we'll be working with us, partnering with us for this. And we're not going to treat everything to start. We will, but we're going to focus our advertising on a couple targets, which we're finalizing which ones. I would say, remind you that we sell on CVS and Walgreens Micromed. We're already in discussions with them to sell the pain relief product as well. And also remarkably, over 40 million people see chiropractors a year. And chiropractors sell products. And so that's a great market, I believe, as well. So if you just take 4 to 5 purchases a year of this product, not a lot, because there's so many patients, you end up with a very large market opportunity, as you can see. And even the individual segments are huge. Like back pain is well over $1 billion itself. So we project that the sales should rise to over nearly $80 million in 2028. And we should end up with net income of about $30 million in that year. So who wants to buy these products? Well, it turns out that nearly every major medical company has topical pain products, either patches or gels or ointments, and many have been acquired. Based on comps, we believe the return on investment should be 12 times or 24 times in 2027 or 2028 respectively. So we have an outstanding team. I've had 2 exits. Ed Truitt has had 2 exits. His were by acquisition. As you can see, he's our board chair. Paul Young, who really designed and developed these products, has been doing so for 20 years. Laura Dell is the chairman of pain medicine at Cedars-Sinai, LA, one of the big experts in the field. And Robert Odell is the co-inventor of Pain Pause. So we're raising money in a convertible note, going to be used for commercialization. And importantly, it's going to be used to support additional clinical studies, primarily used for marketing, and should allow us to achieve sales of up to $6 million next year. So in summary, we're targeting one of the largest healthcare markets in the United States. It's an unmet need. There isn't any consumer products that work well and are safe. Ours is easy to use, clinically proven, safe. It's backed by already our first issued patent, which issued within the first 2 years of submission, which is amazing. And we're launching it very soon. Addresses a very large market, and we're now raising $3 million in the note. Thank you very much.
All right. First question.
Got a few more to hand out that you guys can pass around if you want to take a look. And then this is what the product, I got this yesterday. We finally have the final packaging. So if you want to pass it around. So
These functioning tapes or they?
What's that?
Are these functioning tapes or are they dummies?
Well, they're not for human use, quote unquote. And they're actually the Micromed. They're the wound closure product, but they're identical. They're identical. It's amazing to the, and we did try different sizes, by the way, but the Micromed was the best.
Your question?
So I'm not sure if I missed this, but did you say that individuals who are being prescribed you know, an opioid with a pain in their back, this
Yeah.
would be something they would use instead?
Oh, yeah, we have in our clinical study, many of the patients were on opioids and, oh, yeah, and use this instead. This is I don't know, I don't say this because I'm very conservative, but it has dramatic effects. In our clinical study, I just talked to the clinical PI today
Yeah.
and told me about 3 patients. One of them was 90 years old and how it just dramatically, pain went away.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna say, because I'm a doc, an oncologist, we're always cynical, it's not gonna work on everybody.
Okay.
And I call this difference, we call this in medicine, there's really efficacy and effectiveness. Efficacy is how it works in a controlled study. Effectiveness is how it works in the real world. So this may work in 90% of patients in study, probably in the real world, it'll work on 70%. That's realistic, but I would also say that if there's been several studies looking at the different types of healthcare treatments, and the range of efficacy is 5 to 30%. Not very good for treating pain.
So you said that one of those patches lasts a week and
Yes.
takes the pain off for a week. So,
Yeah.
But so it's not a long-term solution in terms of relieving that pain. It's just,
It's well, here's how it works for many of us. You put it on for a week, it gives you pain relief for a week, and then you put it on again, and it's 2 weeks, then it's 4 weeks. And for me, I've had months without pain. For some reason, as you keep using it, you have longer periods without pain. I don't understand why that's true, but it
you're
is
just putting
true.
these patches on and it's increasingly taking the pain away and there's no side effects to you whatsoever, just putting it into the receptors of where that pain is.
Yeah, there's no drugs, there's no chemicals, and as I said, it's the same as our wound closure product, and we have 500,000 people who've used it and have had no serious complication reported so far, so we know it's a safe product.
And how long have you been pain-free? Like you've been wearing it?
Yeah, it's changed my life. I've been using it for 3 years. I use it though for what are called pain flares. About half of us with back pain have flares of severe pain. When I see it coming on, I put one on, and then it takes the pain away. And it's like a security blanket. I know it's going to work, and that's a good feeling. That's a real good feeling.
So you said it takes the pain away, so 100% pain relief for you.
For me, 100%.
And is there any tolerance development? You mentioned that it actually gets longer and longer
Yeah,
duration.
yeah, that was something we were wondering about.
So
And
you're tolerant. A year later, I'm still getting the same effect.
well, now I'm 3 years out, and several of my colleagues are 2 or 3 years out and having the same
And
experience.
how long is the device in place on your back for that effect?
It's only on for a week, but we have a new,
It's got to stay on my skin for a week?
it
like
stays on
shower?
for a week and shower. Yeah, we, absolutely, because, you know, it's the micromed, which we've had, it stays on, but we have a new covering that we're putting up over it that allows it to stay on for 2 to 3 weeks, but we're not gonna put that on the original label. It's just gonna say a week. But eventually it will say 2 or 3 weeks, you can put it on and you don't feel it. And as you said, you can swim with it, you can shower with it. It's not gonna come off.
Right. Last question for you.
So you're going to market, so I assume you got your 510K approval, is that?
Well, it's not that's what I was saying earlier. Spent my life dealing with the FDA. So when I started the company, I said, I'm not gonna do the FDA approval process. There's another process called the 510K exam process, in which you find a predicate, and ours is an acupuncture needle. You cite it, you submit to the FDA, and you register it. And once it's registered, you can start selling it the next day. So it works.
Yes?
Is there an upper limit to how much you can administer, like, per time based on your body weight?
How
many patches can you use at a time until you?
you use 1 to 2 patches in an area of pain. That's it, just 1 to 2. It's amazing. These little tiny things can do that. It's just.
If you're an extreme athlete.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right, and you've got shoulder, you've got back, you've got knee, you know, you can really like wear it anywhere.
Yeah, we've got a couple NFL players using it right now, and it's working fantastic. I just got a report on one today.
So you can help and recover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or even before they start playing, if they have an injury, they can use it there too, because remember, there's no drugs or any of that stuff, so that's a big advantage.
We're working on Achilles tendonitis.
Well, we actually have one of our doctors, the inventor, actually used it for that, and I use it for my plantar fasciitis, and we're starting a study on that. There have been several people who've used it. And plantar fasciitis is a huge problem. It doesn't seem like it, but if you look at SEO hits, there's 8 million clicks a year looking at that, it's a major issue.
Issues are concerned about, if the pain goes away, you can create additional injury. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I talked to my physical therapist 3 years ago and I said, this is gonna be a problem because people are gonna get more injured. He said, no, the opposite's true. Think about it. When you hurt, you're not mobile. And when you're not mobile, everything goes bad. Your joints start stiffening up, you start laying around, you get heart problems, you get lung problems. And there's plenty of data that shows people with chronic pain have increased incidences of diabetes, heart disease, pulmonary disease, and in some cases, actually death. So no, the opposite is true. I was surprised when I started reading the literature, and it's quite interesting.
How distant from the pain source could you put this and have effect? Just worried about extinguishing pain that might be warning of some cancer or something like that.
How
far from your pain source can this device be? Like,
it's
close to there?
It needs to be in the area, but it doesn't need to be exactly on the spot actually to work. It's interesting. It needs to be, we think, in the same what's called dermatome in order for it to work. So that's what we do.
Yes.
Yeah, can you walk through the user proceeds for?
Yeah, the money will be used, we're raising 3 million, about 1.8, between 1.8 and 1.9 will be used for marketing. And then, we have money for manufacturing. Believe it or not, we only have 2 people in the company, me and the VP of Ops, but we will hire, this is a big deal for me, a chief commercial officer, who frankly, at some point will probably be the CEO, because I'm not the marketing guy. And I'm fine handing off to somebody who knows how to do that. So that will be a big deal for us to and this is very important. And I want to wait until we have some money, because if I hire somebody now, I'm not going to get somebody good.
Yeah, where are you planning on producing?
This is produced by Marion, and they're one of the top manufacturers of bandages tapes in the world. We've been working with them for 6 years. They make products for 3M. They make a bunch of products for CVS, Walgreens. That's how we got introduced. They have plants all over the world, but we're making ours in the US.
So you know your cost model quite well then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. We have over a 70% margin with this. It'll grow to 80% or more.
And with those 3 million, what's your first year's production volume you're going to produce? And do you know year 2 production volume?
Well, we'll produce, calculate that, about 200,000 units the first year. Yeah.
What does that grow to in year 2?
It grows to about triple, so about 600,000.
Gotcha. So you don't really have capacity. If you don't have capacity with your manufacturing partner, you needed 10 million.
No, they can do any amount. They make products with 3M. They can do any amount you want. There'll never be an issue with that with this company. They're amazing. We've never had a supply problem. We've never had a problem with any quality issues in the 5 years we've been with them. They're really solid, and they're major investors in our company.
Last question.
Oh, okay. Any infection or contact dermatitis?
We've given it to 500,000 people. One person had a minor wound infection, which wasn't really probably related to our product, and that's it. Very safe product.
So the
Extremely
tape is
safe.
pretty benign.
Yeah.
That's surprising. Tape is pretty.
Yeah, but we spent a lot of time looking at this and making sure we have something that's hypoallergenic and meets all those requirements. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Let's go ahead and score this one. If you can put your contacts into the QR code while we put up for our last one for the day.
It's been a lot of fun for me. At the founder's expense. I'm grateful for you to be here. Thank you so much. Especially the founders. I get a million things going on at the same time. And pitching and preparing and all that. It seems like it's a taxing task, but rather than taking the family jewel, going to the bank and trying to mortgage your home to get the money. So different model. My friends in Jordan, they ask me, what do you do? And I say, you guys are crazy. You go to a complete strangers and you tell them about your idea and you spend a few hours with them and they give you money. I'm like, yes. They don't know you. Like, no. They don't know your father, your uncle, your tribe. Like, no. Like, you guys are crazy. I'm like, well, this is the world we live in. It's a little insane. That's how this venture business works. But at the end of the day, look where we are and look where they are. So thank you all for being here and I appreciate it. Paul, you do a great job. So thanks for your partnership. I'm very grateful for it.
Thank you for hosting us here and working with us as well. So our next presenter is going to be Orion. We had Mark come back up here. He was on our panel earlier today. And we'll kick him off. And after his presentation, we'll have a networking time and then invite everybody to a happy hour.
Great. Well, Hall, thanks very much. My name is Mark Roper. I'm a co-founder of Orion Biotechnology. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to introduce you to our company this afternoon. And I think a very exciting investment opportunity that has a compelling value proposition that prompted me, a 35-year veteran of the business, to invest $1 million of my own capital into the company. So I'm hoping in this short presentation, I'll be able to give you an idea of how I basically came to that decision. Our focus at Orion is on developing next generation therapeutics for the treatment of metabolic diseases, including obesity, which is the target of our lead program, and I'm going to be focusing on that in my presentation for you today. So obesity has really emerged, I think, as the next major public health epidemic of our generation. Drugs such as Ozempic have clearly proven out that there's a huge demand and a need for treatments in this area. But the reality is that the current generation of obesity drugs have some serious problems and limitations associated with them, which have actually limited their adoption. Well, the executive summary on Orion is that leveraging a new approach to target G protein coupled receptors and a proprietary platform technology, we've developed an obesity drug candidate that has demonstrated that it overcomes these limitations and has the potential to become the next generation obesity drug. So it's a really exciting opportunity. We're really excited about it. The company essentially has reached a stage where we've proven out our technology and our drug candidates across multiple programs, and we're ready really to take the company to the next level. Orion previously raised a $15 million Series A round, and we're currently raising a $5 million bridge, which is being offered as an extension of the Series A. And this is a great opportunity to get into Orion ahead of us moving to the next level at the valuation of the Series A, which we think represents very good value because it doesn't factor our recent progress. And I'll give you the details as we move forward. So I'm sure I don't need to tell you that obesity is a massive global health issue. The rates of obesity are very high. I won't go through all the details. It's growing quite significantly. And of course, this is not really about losing weight. Obesity is associated with over 200 different diseases and complications, and there are millions of deaths annually attributed to obesity. So if we can overcome and overcome this problem, then we stand a really fantastic opportunity to have a major impact on global health. And that's really motivating to me personally. Well, while the current generation of obesity drugs have been very successful financially, I think Ozempic generated $14 billion of revenue in 2023 alone. They all work on the same basic mechanism of action, and they do have some serious limitations associated with them. The two most notable ones are the loss of lean muscle mass, and also they suffer from significant gastrointestinal and tolerability issues. Orion has essentially created a third generation obesity drug candidate that targets a different receptor called GPR75. The current drugs target a receptor called GLP-1. GPR 75 has been proven and validated biologically by multiple independent studies, and it has a different mechanism of action from the current drugs, and this mechanism of action has been proven to overcome the limitations that I just talked about. I'm going to share some data with you on that in a minute. Orion actually has 2 programs targeting GPR 75, 2 obesity programs. Our OBO2 program is a long-acting injectable, and our OBO3 program is targeted to be an oral medication. These programs are, we think, the most advanced programs in the industry against GPR 75, which will give the company, we believe, first mover advantage in the marketplace. We're expecting both of these programs to be in the clinic in 2025, and we're expecting our first results from OBO2. We have an open IND in the second half of 2025. So we're really at a pivotal stage in the company's essentially evolution. So the results that we've been getting from these programs are, like here I'm showing some data from our OBO2 program. And what you're seeing on the left side of this chart is that OBO2 completely prevented weight gain in a diet-induced obesity model for those animals that received the drug, the line in green, no weight gain whatsoever. And what's really important to note about this is that the food consumption of those animals that were taking the drug remained constant. So, and essentially the mechanism of action here, unlike the current generation of obesity drugs, is not based on reducing appetite and reducing food consumption, a major differentiator.
Sorry, can you repeat that? What was the differentiator?
That the food intake
Yeah.
of the animals that were treated
Yeah.
was not reduced. So their food consumption maintained the same as those animals that received no drug. Yeah. This is some data from our OBO3 program in a reversal model. And once again, what you can see on the left side of the chart is that after being fed a very high-fat diet for a number of weeks, those animals treated with OBO3, their weight came right back down to basically a stable level in the orange line here. And what's really important is in the middle section of the chart, what we're showing is that all of the weight loss that was experienced was fat tissue or adipose volume, no change in lean muscle mass. So this is a significant differentiator against current drugs, and this finding was recapitulated in the CT scans I'm showing here on the right. So really fantastic results and demonstrating a different mechanism of action that overcomes those limitations I mentioned.
Compared to Manjaro, how would you compare that? Because the muscle mass is not as prevalent in Manjaro as it is in Ozempic.
Yeah, we haven't done, I really can't comment because I haven't done any head-to-head comparisons against those drugs. So it's hard for me to say, but we do know on average that the current GLP-1 targeted drugs, patients that are on those are losing upwards of 40% lean muscle mass. So it's a very, very large problem. Yeah. The market is obviously quite large. It's currently over $100 billion and projected to continue to grow quite healthily moving forward. I think by 2034, the projection is 200 billion. And the current drugs that are on the market have really proven out, I think, the business case and the financials associated with treatments in this area. And what we've seen, given these market dynamics, is the highest valuations for early stage drug candidates that I've personally ever seen in the industry. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of those as well. Orion was recently highlighted in an independent industry report by Stifel as one of the leading companies developing next generation obesity drugs. I've highlighted 3 snippets here for you from it. I'd be happy to circulate that report for anyone that would like it. And what we found is that the results that we've achieved and the publicity we're getting from reports like this has really elevated the company's profile quite a bit. We actually today have 20 companies in our data room, big pharmas and major VCs that are talking to us about, the path forward. So it's really an exciting time for the company. Now, you might be asking yourself, because I would, how is it that Orion, as a small biotech, has been able to put itself in a position of having a lead obesity product in such a big market when there's so much competition? Well, the answer is that these drugs all target receptors called G protein coupled receptors, and that is the focus of Orion. We're the only company in the industry that has developed a novel approach to target GPCRs or G protein coupled receptors. And we have a platform technology that has proven to allow us to develop these drugs with industry-leading efficiency, cutting the industry average time of 3 to 5 years down to less than just 6 months. So really, our core and the underlying technology behind our company is this GPCR technology and our platform technology. And we've leveraged this technology to actually develop a growing pipeline of drug candidates against high-value GPCRs. I've only talked today about our obesity GPR75 program, but as you can see, we have a number of other drug candidates against high-value GPCR targets. And our platform-based business model is going to allow us to have ongoing value creation and provides very good risk mitigation for the company and for our shareholders. I'm really pleased to say that we've attracted a world-class team to Orion with a proven track record of successful exits and also highly recognized scientific leadership. So I'll just give you a couple of quick examples. Jean Forcione is the independent chair of our board. He's a veteran of the industry, having previously worked with Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Thermo Fisher, and he's been associated with $2.9 billion in exits throughout his career. Eric Heegard was formerly the chief medical officer at Novo Nordisk, who was responsible for the Ozempic program, and he designed, architected, and executed the clinical trials that led to the commercialization of Ozempic. So we couldn't have asked for a better guy to help us with these programs. And the chair of our scientific board is Sir Greg Winter. He's a Nobel Prize winner that has had 3 major biotech exits based on his research, and he's one of the most well-known scientists in the industry. He actually invented the first fully human antibody that was approved by the FDA that went into Humira, one of the highest revenue grossing drugs in history. And if there's one thing I've learned from my previous exits, I've had a couple, is that if you want someone to pay over $1 billion for your company, you need to have some big names behind you. So we have it in spades at Orion. I always am asked, so Mark, if we're successful with Orion, what kind of return can we expect? The best way that I know to answer this is to really look at comparables. And I'm showing a few deals here, a few licensing deals for early stage drug candidates in our market. The most recent one that I've highlighted here was a deal with AstraZeneca for Echogene for an obesity product, and the value of that deal was $2 billion. So it's really clear from comparables that Orion has the potential to achieve a multi-billion-dollar valuation. And keep in mind that these numbers on the licensing deals that I'm showing are for a single drug candidate. So Orion is going to have multiple opportunities to achieve this type of monetization. So as I mentioned, we're raising an extension of our Series A, a bridge round of $5 million. We're offering, this is a priced round, we're offering participating preferred shares with a 1x preference. And this is being offered at the valuation, the pre-money valuation of the Series A, which is $50 billion. The company's been backed by experienced biotech investors. Our Series A was actually underwritten by Keiretsu Capital. And we currently actually only have a little under $3 million left, because the round's been moving fairly quickly, so this is a little out of date. And as I mentioned, this is the final opportunity to get into Orion at the Series A valuation, and we've had quite a number of our existing shareholders re-up on their investment into this bridge. So I'll stop there, Hall, and happy to open up for questions.
All right, who has the first question?
So early on, you mentioned Regeneron proved this out. What's happening? Did they just go to sleep, or what's happening with Regeneron?
No, Regeneron actually has a number of programs targeting GPR75 as well. We believe we're ahead of them. They have no clinical trial underway, so they're still preclinical, but of course, they're very Machiavellian about publishing data. So we don't know exactly where they are, but they are a competitor for sure.
Yes.
So
Wegovy, Mounjaro, Ozempic, they have their side effects, extreme side effects. What are the side effects that you've seen here?
Well, we have, as I mentioned, for OBO2, we have an open IND, so we've basically gone right through all the toxicology studies and proven the product to be extremely safe. So we haven't seen any safety issues thus far to date.
Yep.
And, we expect basically that to continue in the first phase.
And if someone is on the drug, how long do they need to be on the drug? And do they have to stay on it for a certain amount of time to keep it off, or will it come back on? Ozempic,
Right.
it comes back on a month
Yeah,
after.
no, that's a great question. So you'll recall that I mentioned we have two programs against GPR75. They're not mutually exclusive. So our OBO2 program is a long-acting injectable, and I think the industry consensus right now is that that type of delivery system will be used for heavily obese patients that need to basically bring their weight down and be monitored. And that would sort of be like a subcutaneous injection once every week or bi-weekly, that kind of routine.
Yep.
The oral delivery of the medication would be more kind of like for a maintenance regime, to keep people on a maintenance kind of regime. So we would see that, being an oral medication that's taken, probably a bi-weekly as well.
Exciting.
Very exciting, yeah.
Just a quick one. So there's a one for liquidation, there's a 1+ times preference, and they're also participating in the liquidity event.
That's right, yeah.
And then it'll be 55 million at the end.
No, our post money on this is going to be about 76 million total, because remember, we had a $15 million Series A, a pre-money of 50. We also had a $6 million round that converted with the first closing of the Series A. So it's 76 million post money. And we think this puts us actually in a very strong post money position, because if you look at other companies in the market space that have basically are at similar stages of development to us in the GPCR space, you see their investments in and around, several $100 million. So Orion has actually had a tremendous amount of capital efficiency. And why is that? Well, it's all due to our platform. If you remember, I mentioned that our platform technology has allowed us to reduce the drug development time from an average of 3 to 5 years down to less than 6 months. And so that explains it very quickly right there. So I think our post-money position is very strong in comparison to our peers.
Do you see if in a liquidity event you would sell off this like as an asset and you would continue on with the other products?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're not set up to commercialize these products, and we don't need to commercialize them to monetize. I see several potential paths moving forward for the company. We could, for example, we're going to have our first clinical trial results on this second half of next year. Assuming that clinical trial, succeeds, then we'll have an opportunity for sure to monetize, and we could license that asset on its own, and the company could continue on with our other assets. That's one possibility. The second is that we could end up doing a Series B round with a major VC. We're currently in discussions on that right now. And that round could, basically probably be like a crossover round that might lead us to an IPO, that kind of process. And the third option is that we may end up being acquired by a pharmaceutical before we would ever get that far. We actually have a number of the big pharmas in our data room today talking to us about licensing and also working, doing like an R&D collaboration, leveraging our Precision X platform. And those guys, their modus operandi is they want to work with you for a little bit. They will, license a product. We'll hit some milestones, and then, then they would pull the trigger on the acquisition. So a few potential paths, different paths moving forward, but like monetizing individual assets is definitely a possibility.
All right, let's give this guy a round of applause. Let's go ahead and give him some feedback with the QR code. If you guys have just a moment, this is the last one for the day. We'll put this up here. Oh, the last one. Minute more, and we will wrap up for the day. All right. Well, thank you guys for this. Thank you guys for coming today. Invite everybody to come to happy hour with us. We'll be over at the patio at Rudy's. And with that, love pass it over to.
Are you buying drinks?
We are buying drinks. So
All right.
have that. Love to have you guys over there. We had a great time last time we were here. I think we'll have again. It's a great place to be.
Thank you for being here. It means the world to us. Thank you all for being here as well. So I think the party is over. Thank you. We'll see you at the happy hour. And Nick Larson, you got an event on Friday? 2 sentences, real quick.
Living longer, happier, and healthier. Please join.
All right.